The sun blazed over the dusty streets of Ajegunle, Lagos, where the air carried the scent of fried plantain and the noise of Okada bikes weaving through narrow alleys. Chukwudi Okoye, a wiry young man with dreams bigger than his tattered sandals, stood outside the gates of Chief Obie's mansion. His heart raced, not from the heat, but from the weight of what he was about to do. In his hand, he clutched a small velvet box, its edges frayed from years of being carried in hope. Inside was a ring, simple, cheap, but it held all his dreams. Chiquiti had loved Adaeze Obie since they were teenagers sharing akra at the market. She was the daughter of Chief Obie, one of Ajegunle's wealthiest men, whose transport empire spanned half of Lagos. Adaeze, with her radiant smile and sharp wit, was the sun in Chiquiti's world. They had grown close over the years, sneaking moments by the lagoon, whispering dreams under the stars. But today, at 25, Chiquiti was ready to make it official. He would propose. He adjusted his faded shirt, took a deep breath, and knocked on the gate. The gateman, Musa, eyed him with a mix of pity and amusement. "Oga Chiquiti, you sure say you want see chief today? Him no day good moodo." "Let me pass, Musa," Chiquiti said, his voice steady despite the knot in his stomach. Musa shrugged and opened the gate. Inside the compound, the opulence hit Chiquiti like a slap. Marble tiles gleamed under his feet, and the air smelled of jasmine from the garden. He was led to the parlor, where Chief Obie sat like a king on a velvet couch, his agbada flowing like a river of gold. Adaeze stood by the window, her silk dress catching the light, her eyes avoiding Chiquiti's. "Chiquiti, what brings you here?" Chief Obie's voice boomed, his eyes narrowing. He knew Chiquiti as the son of a late vulcanizer, a boy who hustled at the motor park to feed his widowed mother. Chiquiti swallowed hard. "Sir, I love your daughter, Adaeze. I want to marry her." He opened the box, revealing the ring. "I may not have much now, but I swear on my father's grave, I will work hard to give her everything." The room went silent. Then Chief Obie laughed, a deep, mocking sound that echoed off the walls. "You marry my daughter? With what? Your vulcanizer tools." He leaned forward, his eyes cold. "Boy, you are nothing but a rat dreaming of a lion's den. Adaeze deserves a man of means, not a pauper." Chiquiti's face burned, but he turned to Adaeze, hoping for a spark of the girl he knew. "Adaeze, you know me. You know my heart. Please, say something." Adaeze's eyes met his, but they were empty of the warmth he once knew. "Chiquiti," she said, her voice soft but cutting. "You're a good person, but I can't. I need someone who can match my father's status." "I'm sorry." The words sliced through him like a machete. He stood frozen as Chief Obie waved him out. "Go back to your motor park, boy. Don't waste my time." Chiquiti stumbled out, the ring still in his hand, the laughter of Chief Obie ringing in his ears. As he walked back to his one-room home in the slums, tears mixed with the dust on his face. But something else stirred in him. Anger, resolve, a fire that refused to die. "I will show them," he whispered to himself. "One day I will own this city." 2 years passed, and Chiquiti's life was a grind. By day, he worked at the motor park, loading buses and dodging touts. By night, he studied under a flickering lantern, teaching himself business from old books he borrowed from a kindly librarian. His mother, Mama Ngozi, watched him with worry. "Chiquiti, you no day sleep again? This your hustle, e go kill you oh." "Mama, I no fit stop," he'd reply, his eyes burning with purpose. "I go make am. For you, for me, for..." He never finished the sentence, but Adaeze's face lingered in his mind. One evening, as he sat counting his meager earnings, a man approached him at the park. He was tall, dressed in a sharp suit, and carried an air of quiet authority. "Chukwudi Okoye?" the man asked. "Yes, sir," Chiquiti replied, wary. "My name is Mr. Kalu, a friend of your late father. I hear you're a hard worker. I have a proposition." Mr. Kalu owned a small logistics company and needed someone to manage his new branch in Port Harcourt. "It's a risk," he said, "but I see something in you. Take this job, and I'll give you a chance to prove yourself." Chiquiti's heart leaped. Port Harcourt was a city of opportunity, far from the shadows of Ajegunle. He packed his few belongings, kissed his mother goodbye, and boarded a bus the next morning. As the vehicle rumbled out of Lagos, he made a vow. He would return, not as a pauper, but as a king. In Port Harcourt, Chiquiti threw himself into the work. Mr. Kalu's company was small but growing, and Chiquiti's hustle stood out. He learned the ins and outs of logistics, routes, costs, negotiations. He worked late, charmed clients, and saved every kobo. Within a year, he was promoted to manager, overseeing a fleet of trucks. But it wasn't enough. He wanted more. One night, while studying market trends, Chiquiti stumbled across an article about the rise of tech-driven logistics. Companies like Uber were disrupting transport, and Nigeria was ripe for something similar. An idea sparked. What if he could create an app that connected truck drivers to clients, cutting out middlemen? He had no tech skills, but he had grit. He enrolled in a coding boot camp, balancing it with his job. Sleep became a luxury. His classmates laughed at his ambition. You, a motor park boy, want build app? But Chiquiti ignored them. He spent nights coding, his fingers trembling from exhaustion, his mind racing with possibilities. 6 months later, he had a prototype, Freight Naija, a platform to streamline logistics across Nigeria. He pitched it to Mr. Kalu, who was skeptical but intrigued. If you believe in this, I'll invest, Mr. Kalu said. But don't fail me. Chiquiti didn't. He launched Freight Naija, and within months, it gained traction. Small businesses signed up, then bigger ones. By the end of his second year in Port Harcourt, Freight Naija was a name in the industry, and Chiquiti was no longer a nobody. Back in Lagos, Chief Obie's empire was showing cracks. Fuel prices had skyrocketed, and his fleet of buses was aging. He took loans to keep up, but his arrogance blinded him to the changing market. Adaeze, now engaged to a wealthy politician's son, Tund, lived a life of luxury, but she felt hollow. Tund was charming but controlling, and her father's stress weighed on her. She often thought of Chiquiti, wondering where life had taken him. One evening, at a Lagos business gala, Adaeze overheard a group of men discussing a new logistics app sweeping Nigeria, Freight Naija. The guy behind it is a genius, one said. Came from nothing. Now he's taking over. Adaeze's heart skipped when she heard the name, Chukwudi Okoye. She searched for him online, her fingers trembling. His face appeared, older, sharper, dressed in a tailored suit. He was no longer the boy she'd rejected. He was a man of force, and he was coming back to Lagos. Chiquiti stepped off the plane at Murtala Muhammad Airport, his heart pounding with a mix of triumph and vengeance. Freight Naija had secured a multi-million naira investment, and he was here to expand. But more than that, he was here to face his past. He had learned of Chief Obie's struggles, debts piling up, his mansion at risk of foreclosure. Chiquiti saw an opportunity, not just for business, but for justice. He drove to Ajegunle, his sleek SUV turning heads in the dusty streets. When he reached Chief Obie's gate, Musa's jaw dropped. Oga Chiquiti? Now you be this. Chiquiti smiled. Musa opened the gate. I have business with Chief. Inside, Chief Obie looked smaller, his eyes heavy with worry. Adaeze stood beside him, her face a mask of shock. Chiquiti didn't flinch. Chief, he said, his voice calm but firm, I hear you're in trouble. I'm here to make an offer for your house, your business, everything. Chief Obie's face reddened. You think you can come here and... I'm not here to beg, Chiquiti cut in. I'm here to buy. Name your price. The room fell silent. Adaeze's eyes locked on Chiquiti, a storm of emotions swirling within her. The boy she rejected was now a man who could own her father's house. And the story was just beginning. The air in Chief Obie's parlor was thick with tension. Chiquiti stood tall, his tailored suit a stark contrast to the faded shirt he'd worn 2 years ago. His eyes, once soft with hope, now gleamed with a steely resolve. Chief Obie's hands trembled as he gripped the armrest of his velvet couch, his pride warring with his desperation. Adaeze, standing by her father, couldn't tear her gaze from Chiquiti. The boy she dismissed was gone, replaced by a man who radiated power. You think you can waltz in here and buy my legacy? Chief Obie spat, his voice hoarse. This house, my buses, my name, they're worth more than your money. Chiquiti didn't flinch. He slid a folder across the mahogany table. This is my offer. Your debts are choking you, Chief. The bank is coming for this house in 2 months. I can clear your loans, save your name. But I want everything, your mansion, your transport company, all of it. Chief Obie opened the folder, his eyes scanning the figures. His face paled. The offer was generous, too generous for a man drowning in debt. But accepting it meant admitting defeat to the boy he'd mocked. You're nothing but a hustler who got lucky, he growled. I won't sell my life to you. Chiquiti leaned forward, his voice low but sharp. This isn't about luck, Chief. It's about vision. You built an empire, but you let it crumble. I built one from nothing, and I'm just getting started. You can take my offer, or the bank will take everything. Adaeze's breath caught. She saw the fire in Chiquiti's eyes, the same fire she'd ignored years ago. Guilt gnawed at her, but so did something else. Admiration, maybe even regret. She stepped forward, her voice soft. Father, maybe we should listen to him. Chief Obie's head snapped toward her. You, of all people, defend this boy. After you rejected him. His words stung and Adaeze flinched. Chiquiti's gaze flickered to her, but he said nothing, his face unreadable. I'll give you 3 days to decide, Chiquiti said, standing. After that, my offer drops by half. He turned and walked out, leaving the room in stunned silence. Outside, Chiquiti's driver opened the door of his SUV. As he slid in, his phone buzzed. It was Mr. Kalu, his mentor. Chiquiti, you sure about this? Buying out Chief Obie is bold, but it's personal. Don't let revenge cloud your judgment. Chiquiti stared out at the bustling streets of Ajegunle. It's not just revenge, sir. It's justice. And it's good business. His routes, his contacts, they'll make Freight Niger unstoppable. Mr. Kalu sighed. Just be careful. Men like Chief Obie don't go down quietly. Chiquiti ended the call, his mind racing. He wasn't just buying a house or a business. He was rewriting his story. But Adaeze's face lingered in his thoughts, stirring feelings he thought he'd buried. He pushed them aside. This was no time for weakness. In the days that followed, Chiquiti threw himself into his work. Freight Niger's Lagos office was buzzing, with new clients signing up daily. His app had revolutionized logistics, connecting drivers directly to businesses, cutting costs, and boosting efficiency. Investors were circling, and rumors swirled that a foreign company wanted to buy Freight Niger for billions. But Chiquiti had no plans to sell. He was building an empire, and Lagos was his next battlefield. Meanwhile, Chief Obie's world was collapsing. His creditors were relentless, and his drivers were striking over unpaid wages. At home, he drank heavily, snapping at Adaeze and her mother. Adaeze, torn between loyalty to her father and the reality of their situation, felt trapped. Her engagement to Tund offered no comfort. His charm had faded, revealing a man who saw her as a trophy, not a partner. One evening, unable to sleep, Adaeze slipped out of the mansion and walked to the lagoon where she and Chiquiti used to meet. The water shimmered under the moonlight, and memories flooded back. Chiquiti's laughter, his dreams of a better life, the way he looked at her like she was his world. She'd chosen status over love, and now she wondered if she'd made the biggest mistake of her life. Her phone buzzed. It was Tund, demanding to know where she was. She ignored the call, her heart heavy. Then she saw a figure by the water's edge, Chiquiti. He stood with his hands in his pockets, staring at the lagoon. Her breath hitched. Should she approach him? Before she could decide, he turned and walked away, disappearing into the night. The deadline for Chief Obie's decision arrived. Chiquiti returned to the mansion, this time with a lawyer and a briefcase full of documents. Chief Obie looked defeated, his eyes bloodshot. Adaeze stood by his side, her face pale. You win, Chief Obie muttered, signing the papers. The house, the business, it's yours. Chiquiti nodded, his expression neutral. The money will be in your account by morning. You can stay in the house for 3 months while you find a new place. Chief Obie's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Adaeze's eyes met Chiquiti's, and for a moment, the air crackled with unspoken words. She wanted to speak, to apologize, but her throat tightened. Chiquiti turned to leave, but Adaeze followed him to the gate. Chiquiti, wait, she called. He stopped but didn't turn. I'm sorry. For everything. He faced her, his eyes cold. Sorry doesn't change the past, Adaeze. You made your choice. Her heart sank as he walked away. But as she watched him drive off, she knew this wasn't the end. Chukwudi Okoye was a storm, and he was far from done with Lagos or with her. Back at his hotel, Chiquiti sat in his suite, the city skyline sprawling before him. Owning Chief Obie's house and business was a victory, but it felt hollow. He thought of Adaeze's apology, her eyes filled with regret. Part of him wanted to hate her, but another part, the boy who loved her, still ached. His phone rang. It was his mother, Mama Ngozi, her voice warm. Chiquiti, I hear you down by Chief Obie house. Not true. Yes, Mama, he said, smiling faintly. I told you I'd make it. She laughed, but her tone turned serious. Be careful, my son. Money can buy house, but only God can buy peace. Don't let anger make you lose yourself. Her words lingered as he hung up. He had won, but at what cost? And what came next? The answer came the next morning when a rival businessman, Alhaji Musa, called with a warning. You think you can take Chief Obie's place and not make enemies? Watch your back, boy. Chiquiti smirked. He hadn't come this far to be scared off. But as he prepared for the next phase of his plan, he couldn't shake the feeling that the real battle was just beginning. The Lagos skyline glittered as Chiquiti stood on the balcony of his new office, a sleek glass tower in Victoria Island. Freight Niger's logo glowed on a billboard below, a testament to his rise. At 27, he was no longer the boy from Ajegunle. He was a titan, his name whispered in boardrooms and motor parks alike. But success came with shadows, and Chiquiti felt them closing in. Alhaji Musa's warning echoed in his mind. The old businessman, a rival of Chief Obie, had his own transport empire and didn't take kindly to Chiquiti's takeover. Rumors swirled that Alhaji was meeting with Chief Obie, plotting to undermine Freight Niger. Chiquiti wasn't fazed. He'd faced worse odds, but he knew he needed allies. He called Mr. Kalu, who had become more than a mentor, a father figure. Alhaji Musa is trouble, Chiquiti said. He's got connections in Abuja. I need to move fast. Mr. Kalu's voice crackled through the phone. You've got the money and the name now, Chiquiti, but power like yours attracts enemies. Secure your base. Lagos is your fortress. And watch that Chief Obie. He's a snake. Chiquiti nodded, though Mr. Kalu couldn't see. He had plans. Freight Niger was expanding into passenger transport, and Chief Obie's old routes were the key. He'd already rehired some of Chief's drivers, offering better pay and conditions. Loyalty, he knew, was bought with respect as much as money. Across town, in a rented flat in Surulere, Adaeze packed her family's belongings. Chief Obie's mansion now belonged to Chiquiti, and the 3-month grace period was nearly up. Her father sat in the corner, staring at nothing, a shadow of the man he once was. Her mother, Ngozi, tried to keep spirits high, but the strain was clear. Adaeze's engagement to Tund was unraveling. He'd grown distant since her father's fall, his eyes now on a senator's daughter. Adaeze's mind kept drifting to Chiquiti. She'd seen his billboards, heard his name on the radio. The boy she'd rejected was now a king, and she was a nobody. Guilt and regret gnawed at her, but so did a flicker of hope. Could she make things right? One afternoon, she found herself at Freight Niger's office, her heart pounding. She'd come to ask for a job, any job, to help her family. The receptionist, a sharp-eyed woman named Ife, raised an eyebrow. You're Chief Obie's daughter, Abi? Oga Chiquiti is busy, but I'll see if he's free. Chiquiti was in a meeting, but when Ife mentioned Adaeze's name, he paused. Send her in, he said, his voice neutral. Adaeze stepped into his office, her breath catching at the sight of him behind a massive desk, the city sprawling behind him. Chiquiti, she began, her voice trembling. I know I have no right to ask, but my family, we need help. I'm willing to work. Anything. Chiquiti leaned back, his eyes unreadable. You want to work for me? After everything. She swallowed. I made a mistake. I was young, foolish. Please, Chiquiti. He studied her for a long moment. There's an opening in operations. It's not glamorous, data entry, scheduling. You start tomorrow. Don't make me regret this. Adaeze nodded, tears prickling her eyes. Thank you. As she left, Chiquiti felt a pang. Hiring her was a risk. Business and emotions didn't mix. But he couldn't turn her away. Not yet. Adaeze proved herself quickly. She was sharp, efficient, and learned fast. The other employees whispered about her. Chief Obie's daughter working as a clerk, but she ignored them. She saw Chiquiti daily, his presence a reminder of what she lost. He was professional, distant, but sometimes she caught him watching her, his eyes softening for a moment before turning cold again. Meanwhile, Alhaji Musa made his move. He poached some of Freight Niger's drivers, offering them double pay. Then, a key client canceled a contract, citing better offers. Chiquiti suspected sabotage. He called a meeting with his team, including Adaeze. "We're under attack," he said, his voice steady. "Alhaji Musa thinks he can bully us out. We fight back, not with fists, but with strategy. We double our marketing, offer bonuses to loyal drivers, and push our new passenger app. Any ideas?" Adaeze hesitated, then spoke. "Your app is great, but it's not reaching the grassroots. Market women, small traders, they need transport too. Set up kiosks in markets, let them book rides with USSD codes, not just smartphones." Chiquiti raised an eyebrow. It was a brilliant idea. "Do it," he said. "You're in charge of the market rollout." Adaeze's heart swelled. For the first time in months, she felt useful. But as she left the meeting, she overheard two employees whispering. "Why is Olga giving her so much power? She's Chief Obie's daughter. What if she's a spy?" The words stung, but they planted a seed of doubt in Chiquiti's mind. Could he trust her? That night, Chiquiti received a call from an unknown number. "Meet me at the Palms Hotel bar," a gruff voice said. "We need to talk about your future." It was Alhaji Musa. Chiquiti arrived at the bar, his senses sharp. Alhaji Musa sat in a corner, his kaftan pristine, his eyes calculating. "You're a smart boy," Alhaji began, "but you're stepping on toes. Join me, and I'll make you richer than you dream. Fight me, and I'll bury you." Chiquiti smiled coldly. "I don't bow to threats, Alhaji, and I don't share my throne." Alhaji leaned forward, his voice a hiss. "You think you've won because you bought Obie's house? I know your weakness, boy. That girl, Adaeze. She's your Achilles heel." Chiquiti's blood ran cold, but he kept his face blank. "You know nothing about me." Alhaji laughed. "We'll see." As Chiquiti drove home, his mind raced. Alhaji's words about Adaeze hit too close. He couldn't deny his feelings for her, but trust was another matter. And with enemies circling, he needed to stay sharp, or risk losing everything he built. The Lagos sun beat down on Oshodi Market, where Adaeze stood beside a brightly branded Freight Niger kiosk. The air buzzed with the chatter of traders and the smell of smoked fish. Her idea to bring Freight Niger's services to the grassroots was a hit. Market women lined up to book transport using simple USSD codes, their laughter and gratitude warming her heart. For the first time since her father's fall, Adaeze felt a spark of purpose. But the whispers followed her. Chief Obie's daughter, working for Chiquiti? Something no day right. At Freight Niger's office, Chiquiti watched the numbers roll in. Adaeze's market initiative had boosted revenue by 20% in a week. He was impressed, but Alhaji Musa's words gnawed at him. "She's your Achilles heel." He couldn't afford to let emotions cloud his judgment, not when his empire was under siege. Alhaji Musa's attacks were escalating. Two of Freight Niger's trucks were vandalized, and a major client pulled out after receiving anonymous threats. Chiquiti suspected Alhaji's hand, but needed proof. He hired a private investigator, Emeka, to dig into Alhaji's dealings. "Be discreet," Chiquiti warned. "This man plays dirty." Meanwhile, Adaeze's life was unraveling further. Tund had officially broken off their engagement, calling her damaged goods, now that her father was broke. Her mother was sick, and medical bills were piling up. Adaeze threw herself into work, hoping to prove her worth to Chiquiti and to herself. But she sensed his distance, the way his eyes lingered on her with a mix of warmth and suspicion. One evening, as she stayed late to finalize a report, Chiquiti walked into the office. "You're still here?" he asked, his tone softer than usual. Adaeze looked up, startled. "I want to get this right. The market project means a lot to me." He nodded, sitting across from her. "You're doing well, Adaeze. Better than I expected. Her heart fluttered, but she saw the hesitation in his eyes. Chiquiti, I know you don't trust me. I don't blame you. But I'm not here to hurt you. I just want to fix my mistakes. He studied her, his jaw tight. Mistakes like rejecting me? She flinched but held his gaze. Yes, I was wrong. I let my father's pride and my own fears blind me. But I see you now, Chiquiti. I see the man you've become. For a moment, the air between them crackled with possibility. Then Chiquiti stood abruptly. Words are cheap, Adaeze. Prove it with actions. He walked out, leaving her with a racing heart and a renewed resolve. The next day, Emeka, the investigator, called Chiquiti with news. Alhaji Musa is working with someone close to you. I found emails. Someone's been leaking Freight Niger's client data. It's an inside job. Chiquiti's blood ran cold. Who? I don't have a name yet, but the emails trace back to your office. Be careful who you trust. Chiquiti's mind went to Adaeze. She had access to sensitive data, and her sudden return to his life seemed too convenient. But his heart rebelled against the thought. He needed proof. He called a meeting with his core team, including Adaeze. Someone's betraying us, he said, his voice hard. Client data is leaking to Alhaji Musa. I want everyone's devices checked. No exceptions. Adaeze's face paled, but she nodded. The team complied, and the IT crew found nothing, except on Ife's laptop, the receptionist. A hidden folder contained emails to an account linked to Alhaji Musa. Ife broke down, confessing she'd been bribed. I needed the money, she sobbed. My son is sick. Chiquiti fired her on the spot, but didn't press charges. Get out, he said, his voice cold. And tell Alhaji his games won't stop me. Adaeze watched, relief flooding her. She'd been cleared, but Chiquiti's trust was still a wall between them. She vowed to tear it down. That night, Chiquiti received a call from Chief Obie. Meet me, the old man said, his voice slurred. I have something you need to know. Against his better judgment, Chiquiti drove to a rundown bar in Ajegunle. Chief Obie sat in a corner, a bottle of Ogogoro before him. You think you've won, he slurred. But Alhaji Musa is coming for you. And he's not alone. Chiquiti leaned in. What do you know? Chief Obie laughed bitterly. I know you're a fool to trust my daughter. She's playing you, just like she played me to get to Tund. The words hit like a punch. Chiquiti stood, his mind racing. Was Chief Obie lying to sow discord, or was there truth in his drunken words? He drove home, his thoughts a storm. He couldn't afford to be weak, not now. But Adaeze's face, her sincerity, haunted him. The next morning, Freight Niger's office was abuzz with news. Alhaji Musa had partnered with a Chinese firm to launch a rival app, threatening to crush Freight Niger. Chiquiti called an emergency board meeting, his mind sharp despite the sleepless night. We accelerate our passenger app launch, he said. And we go public, get the people of Lagos to invest in us. Let's make Freight Niger untouchable. Adaeze spoke up. I can lead the public campaign. I know the markets, the people. Let me show you I'm all in. Chiquiti hesitated, then nodded. Do it. But I'm watching, Adaeze. As she left to start the campaign, Chiquiti's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Check Adaeze's emails. You'll see. His heart sank, but he forwarded the tip to Emeka. Trust was a luxury he couldn't afford, not even for the woman he still loved. The streets of Lagos pulsed with energy as Freight Niger's public campaign kicked off. Billboards flashed with the slogan, Own Your Ride, Own Your Future, and Adaeze's market kiosks became community hubs. Traders, drivers, and even Okada riders invested in Freight Niger's public offering, drawn by the promise of owning a piece of Chiquiti's empire. Adaeze worked tirelessly, her charm winning over skeptics, her passion reigniting her own sense of worth. But the shadow of doubt hung over her. Chiquiti watched from his office, torn between pride and suspicion. Emeka's investigation into the anonymous tip about Adaeze's emails had turned up nothing yet. Her accounts were clean, but the seed of doubt planted by Chief Obie and the mysterious text gnawed at him. He couldn't shake the fear that she was too good to be true, that her return was a ploy. Yet every time she smiled at a market woman or rallied his team, he saw the girl he'd loved by the lagoon. Alhaji Musa's rival app, Transtar, launched with a splash, offering lower rates and flashy ads. Freight Niger's stock dipped, and whispers of doubt spread among investors. Chiquiti countered with a bold move. He slashed rates for small businesses and offered free rides to market women for a month. The move cost millions, but it won hearts. Social media buzzed with hashtag FreightNigerFever, and Adaeze's face was everywhere, the poster girl for the campaign. One evening, as Adaeze wrapped up a rally in Balogun Market, a man approached her. He was lean, with a scar across his cheek, and his eyes gleamed with malice. "You're Chief Obie's daughter," he said, his voice low. "Alhaji Musa has a message. Back off, or your family pays." Adaeze's heart raced, but she stood her ground. "Tell Alhaji I'm not my father. I don't scare easy." The man smirked and melted into the crowd. Adaeze didn't tell Chiquiti. She didn't want to fuel his doubts. But she doubled her efforts, determined to prove her loyalty. Back at the office, Emeka called Chiquiti with a breakthrough. The anonymous text came from a burner phone linked to Alhaji Musa's associate. But there's more. Chief Obie's been meeting with Alhaji. They're planning something big. And Adaeze, she's clean. No trace of betrayal. Relief flooded Chiquiti, but guilt followed. He doubted her. Let his past pain cloud his judgment. He found her in the office, poring over campaign data. "Adaeze," he said, his voice soft, "I owe you an apology. I didn't trust you, and I was wrong." She looked up surprised. "Chiquiti, I don't blame you. I hurt you. I'm just trying to make it right." He sat beside her, the air heavy with unspoken words. "Why are you doing this? Why work so hard for me?" She hesitated, then met his eyes. "Because I see you, Chiquiti. Not just the man you are now, but the boy who dreamed big. I want to be part of that dream." For the first time in years, Chiquiti felt the wall between them crack. But before he could respond, his phone rang. It was Mr. Kalu, his voice urgent. "Chiquiti, get to Ajegunle now. Chief Obie's in trouble." Chiquiti and Adaeze raced to the rented flat where Chief Obie's family now lived. They found him slumped on the floor, a bottle of Ogogoro spilled beside him. Ngozi, Adaeze's mother, was in tears. "He went to meet Alhaji Musa," she sobbed. "They fought, and now he's like this." Chiquiti knelt beside Chief Obie, who stirred, his eyes glassy. "Chiquiti," he rasped. "Alhaji, he wants you ruined. He offered me money to sabotage you. I said no, but he didn't like that." Chiquiti's jaw tightened. "Did he do this to you?" Chief Obie nodded weakly. "Be careful, boy. He's dangerous." Adaeze's hands shook as she helped her father to bed. Chiquiti pulled her aside. "We need to end this. Alhaji's gone too far." She nodded, her eyes fierce. "What's the plan?" "We hit him where it hurts, his business. I've got an idea, but I need you with me. Can I trust you?" She held his gaze. "With your life." The next day, Chiquiti unveiled his plan. Freight Niger would partner with a tech giant in Silicon Valley, leveraging their AI to optimize routes and cut costs. The deal would make Freight Niger untouchable, but it required a risky trip to Abuja to secure government approval. Alhaji Musa had allies in high places, and Chiquiti knew the trip could be a trap. He took Adaeze with him, her market savvy crucial for pitching to officials. In Abuja, they faced bureaucrats who eyed them with suspicion, their loyalty bought by Alhaji. But Adaeze's charm and Chiquiti's vision won them over. The deal was signed, and Freight Niger's stock soared. On their flight back to Lagos, Chiquiti looked at Adaeze, asleep beside him. He realized he was falling for her again, but the stakes were higher now. Alhaji Musa wouldn't stop, and Chief Obie's warning rang in his ears. The final battle was coming, and it would test everything: his empire, his heart, and his resolve. The Lagos air was thick with anticipation as Chiquiti prepared for his final move. Freight Niger's partnership with the Silicon Valley tech giant had sent shockwaves through the industry. The app's new AI-driven features slashed transport costs, and clients flocked back, abandoning Alhaji Musa's Transstar. But Chiquiti knew Alhaji wouldn't surrender quietly. The old man's threats against Adaeze and her family lingered, a dark cloud over his triumph. Back in Ajegunle, Chief Obie was recovering, but his spirit was broken. Adaeze cared for him, balancing her duties at Freight Niger with visits to her parents' flat. Her mother's health was improving, thanks to Chiquiti quietly covering the medical bills, a gesture Adaeze discovered by chance. Why didn't you tell me? She asked him one evening, her eyes soft with gratitude. Chiquiti shrugged, his expression guarded. You don't owe me anything, Adaeze. I did it for your mother, not for you. She smiled, seeing through his walls. You're a good man, Chiquiti. Better than I deserved. He didn't respond, but her words warmed a part of him he'd kept cold. Their partnership had grown stronger, her ideas fueling Freight-Nija's success. Yet the past still hung between them, a silent question. Could he love her again? Alhaji Musa struck at dawn. A fire broke out at Freight-Nija's main depot, destroying 3 trucks. The police called it an accident, but Chiquiti knew better. Emeka's investigation confirmed it. Arson, ordered by Alhaji's men. Chiquiti called a war council with his team, Adaeze at his side. We end this now, he said. We expose Alhaji's dirty deals, his bribes, his threats. Emeka, give me evidence we can take to the press. Emeka nodded. I've got recordings of Alhaji's calls with his Abuja contacts. It's enough to bury him. Adaeze spoke up. We should leak it to bloggers first. They'll spread it faster than any newspaper. Chiquiti nodded, impressed. Do it. And Adaeze, you handle the PR. Make sure the world knows Freight-Nija stands for the people. Within hours, the story broke. Blogs screamed headlines, Alhaji Musa exposed, bribery and arson in Lagos transport war. Social media erupted, with hashtag Justice for Freight-Nija trending. Alhaji's clients dropped him, and his Abuja allies distanced themselves. Transstar stock plummeted, but Alhaji wasn't done. He called Chiquiti, his voice dripping with venom. You think you've won, boy. I know where you sleep. I know who you love. Chiquiti's blood ran cold. Touch her and you're finished. Alhaji laughed. We'll see who finishes who. That night, Chiquiti moved Adaeze and her family to a safe house, a sleek apartment he owned in Lekki. Stay here until it's over, he told her. Adaeze nodded, but her eyes were fierce. I'm not hiding, Chiquiti. I'm fighting with you. He wanted to argue, but her resolve stopped him. Fine, but you stay close. The next day, Emeka delivered the final blow. Evidence that Alhaji had bribed a police chief to ignore the arson. Chiquiti took it to a trusted journalist, and by evening, Alhaji was arrested. His empire crumbled, his name disgraced. Freight-Nija stood unchallenged, the king of Lagos transport. With the war won, Chiquiti returned to Chief Obie's old mansion, his mansion now. He stood in the parlor, memories of his rejection flooding back. Adaeze joined him, her presence a quiet comfort. This is yours now, she said, her voice soft. You earned it. He turned to her, his heart heavy. I thought owning this house would feel like victory. But it's just a house. What matters is what comes next. She stepped closer, her eyes searching his. And what's that? He took a deep breath, the words he'd held back spilling out. I loved you, Adaeze. Part of me still does. But I need to know, can I trust you? Not just with my business, but with my heart? Tears welled in her eyes. I hurt you, and I'll spend my life making it right. I love you, Chiquiti. Not for your money or your name, but for you. For a moment, the world stopped. Then he pulled her close, their lips meeting in a kiss that felt like coming home. The pain of the past didn't vanish, but it softened, replaced by hope. Months later, Freight-Nija was a global name, with Chiquiti at its helm. He and Adaeze were partners in every sense, building a future together. Chief Obie, humbled but healing, found peace in a quieter life, his pride replaced by respect for the man Chiquiti had become. Mama Ngozi moved into the mansion, her laughter filling its halls. At a gala celebrating Freight-Nija's success, Chiquiti stood before Lagos elite, Adaeze by his side. He raised a glass, his voice steady. I came from nothing, but I built something. Not for revenge, but for love of my family, my city, and the woman who taught me to forgive. The crowd cheered, but Chiquiti's eyes were on Adaeze. She smiled, her hand in his, and he knew. He didn't just own a house. He owned his destiny. Thank you for joining Chiquiti and Adaeze on their journey through love, betrayal, and triumph in the vibrant streets of Lagos. This tale of resilience and redemption captures the heart of ambition and the power of second chances. We hope you felt the pulse of Ajegunle, the stakes of empire building, and the pull of a love that refused to die. Want more stories that grip your heart and keep you hooked? Subscribe to our platform for exclusive access to new tales, behind-the-scenes insights, and more. Share this story with friends. Drop a comment to tell us your favorite moment, and hit that like button to spread the love. Your support keeps these stories alive. Join the community and let's keep the drama rolling.